Good morning, everyone, and happy Wednesday. So, this show is brought to you by Ralph Waldo Emerson, who says that every artist was once an amateur. Every artist was once an amateur. So, we're into a long way into all of this COVID stuff. I hope everybody is doing well. We're going to work some more today on more Blender work for the day because it's working well and I kind of like it. And I need to do a ton of little models that need to go with this project, so might as well get cracking and experiment with them and do that. It's part of the art that I do, so it's good. But first, as usual, let's go over to the desk and let's do our drawing for the day. Do. All right. Take a normal piece of paper. We'll put it right over here. All right. Okay. Take my L square, my beloved L square, which I think is slightly bent. My beloved L square. And we'll just take a normal pencil here. And we'll draw a line. And I know many of you are kind of wondering, why would I do this? But of course, the truth is, some of these skills just take repetition and repetition and repetition. And there's no way around it. There's no way to get through it. All you can do is just keep practicing it over and over. So we'll do a couple of these longer lines here. All right. We'll take our normal, this is just an average everyday Joe Blow French curve. We could do any kind of curve. We can do these little inside curves. We can do this one here if you want. Any of those are acceptable. I mean, it's not important. We're just practicing. Right? So I'll do that and that. Let's see. Look at all those curves. All right. Made this difficult for myself this morning, didn't I? Okay, we're going to take just a normal 0.4 fine tip pen. And we're just going to go on ahead and draw these lines. Now remember, as I often say, remember you're not putting your elbow down on the table. You want to lift your elbow up. You want to lift your wrist off the table if you can. You can guide with your pinky if you need to. But the idea here is to see what you can draw when you're like this on the paper. You want to be able to draw like this. So the idea is you're not putting your wrist down to write on the paper like this, and you're not putting your elbow down and writing like that, because that gives you too little movement. And you're going to end up off the line. The idea here is that we practice this over and over and over every day, and then we get better as time goes on, right? And you can draw as fast or as slow as you want. I got this idea off of drawabox.com, which has lessons like this. Right? And you can see my second time through is getting markedly better. Look at that. Now for the point-to-point, the idea here is that you always, as artists, we have a habit of watching, putting our eyes where our pin is, and that allows us to do this number and lead off of our target point. So these point-to-point ones, the entire goal here is to leave the departure point, look at the arrival point, and not look at the departure point anymore. So we hit the departure point, then we look at the arrival point. Hit the departure point, then we look at the arrival point. hit the departure point, then look at the arrival point. Right? Then for these long ones, it's the same thing. We're going to do these long runs all the way out. Make sure your elbow's off the table. Make sure your wrist is off the table. And here we go. 1, 2, and you can go as fast or as slow as you want. 3, 4. Same thing here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I'm going to come around here. These are still my boogeymen, you can see. There we go. Last thing we do is we date it so that we can remember what we looked like at this point, right? So here's where we are. All right. Today is going to be all in 3D. So more interestingly is that I am in fact not going to be doing any drawing at all. So we'll be doing the monitor here. This is all in 3D. So even when there are two things that I kind of wanted to think about for today. One is that when you do art, most of the time we're doing it for ourselves anyway. And you want to follow your muse. Don't let what people dictate, have a section of your art that is for you. And then a section of your art that is for sales or things like that. And make sure they stay discreet. They stay separate. You don't want them to be together. Because this can be a job, this can be a career, but it'll ruin your muse if you don't do something for yourself. So you should always do some aspect of your art for yourself. And even though we're dealing with things that are for Bellatrix Rising, which is my comic book here, the truth is these 3D objects, these 3D spaceships are going to show up once in a blue moon in my book. It's not like they're going to be there all the time, but I'm going to spend a lot of time on them and put a lot of love into them because that's important to me. It's important that we have an aesthetic so that even if this ship shows up just in the background of one frame, I put all of my love and interest into this so that the ship is identifiable. So that later, when you see it in some other frame, you can go, oh, well, I know what that is. That's a blah, 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 blah. There will always be someone, I'm a big Star Trek spaceship guy. You can see all the spaceships back here behind me. And I love all the ships. And I can do all the identifying which ship is what and all of that stuff. So I kind of like doing that. So I want my artwork to reflect that. That's my style. So that's what the muse tells me to do. That's what we're going to do. So here we go. We're going to get to work here on a new ship. We did one yesterday where we did a destroyer. And I'll show you what that one looks like here. Right, we'll open up this destroyer here. And this is our destroyer. It's a Weirvin class destroyer. So there you go. We're going to take the same design ethics and make a light cruiser now. The light cruisers are bigger than this destroyer, and this destroyer is pretty big. So this is going to be entertaining, right? So we're going to close this guy and do a new, wow, there's all kinds of stuff. New general. right? We got a box. There we go. I'm going to switch to edit mode. We're in edit mode, right? And first thing we're going to do is take a look at the master drawing here. Right? Now, one of the things I'm not ecstatic about is this light cruiser's engine pack, so we're going to probably remodify that. I think light cruisers would have 4 engines. The engines in Bellatrix Rising aren't the same. They're for maneuvering and trying to park the ships and stuff like that. And anytime you are way too close to things that you don't want to drop a gravity well by. So it does have 2 hard points for connecting things to it. It's got a spinal mount hard point, and it's got this side mount for like turrets and things like that. So the hard points are when a ship has a specific modified job. So these hard points are kind of a thing. This is a space comic. There's going to be a lot of ships, so we might as well get cracking on some of these, right? Now I'm looking at just the central core of that, and we've got actually kind of a unique center core on this. Remember yesterday what we did was we took this guy and did only 1/2. So I'm going to do the same thing here. We're going to go into naked mode. Here we go. There we go. And we're going to move these guys to here so that we're on the line as much as possible. And we're not on the line anywhere now. Right. And I'm going to get as close as I can to make sure that we started as much on the line as possible. There's a reason kind of for this. And the reason that I'm doing this is because when we mirror the design here, we're going to want the other side over here to be exactly lined up, and I'm going to tell it to merge the vertices, which are these guys that we have highlighted right here. We've highlighted them. A vertice is simply, as those of you who have taken geometry know, it's just the point where 2 corners meet on a cube or on it's that point. In 3D programs, they tend to put a little dot there so you can move the dot and wiggle the dot around and move that point around, and that's the whole issue, right? That's the concept. So we have these vertices, and you can see that they're lit up right here. And they're not lit up, and now they're lit up, and they're not lit up, and now they're lit up. You get the idea. I'm going to try to design the ship so that she is set up exactly the way we want her set up. So we're going to go from here and move outward, and we're going to go here, move forward, and stuff like that from this cube. So this looks like, to me, we're starting right about on this point right here. That's this juncture. We have to remember we have this center piece, so I'm going to extend once out to here, but after I've got that piece. So that's where we are. So we're going to put it to face. I'm going to click right here to select this face. I put it into this shaded mode so that I can see what I'm doing, right? So we're going to hit E to extrude, and that's going to extrude out a section of this and move my square outward. Now looking at the proportion of this to that, I feel like that's where we're going to, right? And this will define pretty much where we are on that part. Now when we look at the destroyer had a rounded edge on that side, and I want this to have a very straight edge because it's a different ship and it has to look with a different aesthetic. But I still want it to have a curve, so we're going to do that. Now looking at this from the straight on front view, we can see that we've got sort of these guys going on here, and I'm going to take these and drop them down. That gives this angle to the ship going on here, right? I'm going to take these and I'm going to bring them up. And what this is doing is giving sort of a nice underside angle arc to it. It's not as dramatic as the Destroyer, and I'm kind of going on that on purpose, right? And we need to put it in vertices, otherwise it's not going to connect the vertices. Okay. I'm doing this sort of on purpose because what I really want out of this ship is more of a boxy, square, stoic feel. This is a light cruiser. It's the smallest of the capital ships. So we're going to give it the stoicism of a ship like that. And I'm actually going to bring this up so that you can see that there's a deck here, and there will be a deck here, and a deck here. This is a big ship, right? So, okay, we look at it now from, we just got confused. From this angle right here. And now we kind of have that middle part of the box. So now we're going to go for the front part of that box. Work. And I'll hold the shift key to select more. And then we will extrude out. And this one goes a long way. Like way out here. Right? If we want to take a look at where this is at the top here. We can actually still move this, and we will. Because we still even want even further on this box. Okay, so this is that long front. We're going to go ahead and hit this guy here. Move it in. Move that in. And all we're doing is just effectively. Now this ridge along here is going to be static, right? So it's going to be completely static. I don't want to change its aspect all the way to the front of the ship. So we're going to keep that the way it is. I'm looking back at my design. These ships are ultimately exported. So there's an actual reason why I don't want to. We're going to do that. We're going to come out one more like this. And this is that middle section there. So I'm going to want an adjustment to it. Something that adjusts to this section like this. And then we're going to go for another little adjustment. And then we're going to go all the way forward to the hammerhead. Good morning, Brent. How are you doing this morning? I'm building things that you will want to print. I know you well. These are all things that you will want to print. But they're so simple. I don't know. Anyway. So we're going to move forward. We've got one more connector to the hammerhead. So we want to make sure we have that connector. And then we're going to let this one sort of sit like it is here. And then we're going to build that hammerhead in. But first, let's get this multi-purpose module out here. So we're going to switch here. And this multi-purpose module sticks up quite a bit. And like so. Planning on taking over the world like any good lab rat should, right? And take a look at the front of the ship, and we're going to zoom in here and really examine this structure. Because this guy should be flat like so. And I want him out as far as I can so that this becomes absolutely static. And the reason is I'm going to extend through here at some point and bring it out for that left module. The ship we're working on right now, by the way, Brent, is a light cruiser. That's this guy here. So we're working, and we're right now, we've got here and here, and now we're working on this section here. And we've built to about here. So that's where we are. And you can see we've got kind of that going on there and that sort of thing. And the reason we do this is because this module right here is a multi-purpose module. We'll hit face and we'll do that, and then we'll extrude out to there. And that's the multi-purpose module. And this is just a huge module of things that it can do. The ship can do all kinds of stuff with that multi-purpose module, and often does. The thing I want to do, though, is move this guy back a little, like so, and move all of this back a little. Now that we've got that module out, we don't really need to worry about it as much. Now, the reason I did the multi-purpose module after I passed through that area is because I really wanted this to still retain the slope that we had already designed and this ridge for all of the windows and things like that we're going to have. So I really wanted to make sure that I didn't lose all of that whenever I did this. So there's that. And I feel like the connector up here actually comes out of just this section right here. So we're going to bring that forward just a little bit and let this section stop. And then we're going to go on ahead and bring in aspects of this. Like, I'll leave that alone. Go for that. Then we're going to bring this guy in until he's straight up and down like that. And that way this is all going to become an octagon. Right, so I'm going to go ahead and once more take a look straight on. I'm going to get myself some bearings here to make sure that this is straight. There we go. When this is done, this is all going to form a really nice little octagon, which will be the connector to the hammerhead. So, all Unity ships have that hammerhead design going for them. So this is where this is going for at this point. So that hammerhead's going to be up here. Okay. Ooh, you selected all of that, didn't you? I didn't want to do that. I just wanted this one right here. There we go. There we go. And that's all I wanted, was him to move up just a little bit, because we're about to go into that forward piece of the hammerhead. So we're going to also select these two and bring them down. And these two, ooh, I was close, and bring it up. And this will give us the connector now to the hammerhead that we want. So looking at the hammerhead, that is a very, very, very different design from this hull piece. So when we go into it, we're going to go across like so. And then we're going to, this is going to just be the connector to it. So we want that. And then this will be the actual start of the hammerhead. And this is that after section. The after section of the hammerhead is right here. And I'm going to then go to these. We're going to deselect. We want this vertice and this guy. And this is a very different shape, right? So we're going to bring that back up. This guy and this guy go down And again, we'll look from the front. Let's take a look at it from the front. I don't want it to converge with these, so I'm going to bring it down. And this guy up here, I'm going to bring up. There. Now, when I look at the hammerhead here, we're at this section right here. All right, we've got forward to the actual hammerhead itself, but this is not as abrupt or round as the other one. So we're in the middle of the hall there. Look at that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this. Does this need to be extended? I don't actually think so. I think this will be fine where it is, but looking at the top, we want to move that out a little. So we're going to take this and go into this mode, and we're going to go like this, and that'll extend it out to further than that neck. So that's where that hammerhead goes. All the way out to there, which is fine. And we can move all of these guys back just a little bit. And then these guys, this guy goes like that. Now when we look at it, we've got a rather substantial hammerhead forming here. I'll take the faces, this one, and this one. And we're going to need to subdivide. This is a new technique that we haven't done before, which I'll need to do a lot of if I'm ever going to give these models to you, Brent, because they're... So do I need to go all the way forward in the front part of this hammerhead like so? Probably. I don't need to do that, but I will need to extrude you. There we go. I got the rough beginnings of that hammerhead going, and you'll need to extrude it out a long way. There we go. Oops. Right. We're being weird. Not sure what that's all about. There we go. Now we'll design back that hammerhead, because they're all not on leading, but they do this. Right? Now comes the tough part. I've got to figure out how to deal with this nose. Right? I don't know how to deal with that. So let's go for this. We're going to select these guys, and we're going to put a modifier on it. We'll see whether this works or not. Right? So I got to go back into object mode. I don't want to go into object mode because I feel like that's going to not work like I want it to. Nope, I know what I'm going to do. We're going to go into edit mode. We're actually going to remove this section here. When you hit delete, it gives you an ask on this whether you're taking out the vertices, the faces, or the lines, right? We're just going to take the edges out here. Because what we're going to do is we're going to build a completely different thing here. right? There we go. Now, on the front of this, we want effectively a half dome. So what we can always do is add a dome, right? A UV sphere or an icosphere. And we get it down here at the other end. We can bring it forward, right? We'll move it forward till it's out here. And this is essentially what we're going to do on this front, is put this icosphere in. But icospheres are complicated and a mess. So I'm kind of wondering whether I want an icosphere or whether I really am just going to regret this decision that I have just made. I may regret this. We'll have to see. Might even be better to just put points out here on its own and connect the points. Plausibly might be a better idea. Faces, edges, verts, all gone. Okay, moving along here. Take this face, and what we'll do is we'll just rebuild this face. Okay, so we'll put these two in and shift that one and put F in for add face, and then these two, shift that one and F for a face there too, which is good because this is going to get rid of the N-gon that was in there, because these are N-gons right here, and these print funny sometimes. They'll go wonky in a printer, but they'll also go wonky when exported. So I try to work in basic shapes and not have a whole lot of N-gons if I can avoid it, just because it can get wonky, and I really don't want it to be wonky, and I don't think you want it to be wonky. So no regrets and no ragrats. I'm just saying, no ragrats, man. No ragrats. I think that was a typo somebody had made once. Very entertaining typo. We're going to go ahead and just extend out here like this. And I'm just going to keep extending forward into this so that we can keep going. I am, however, intrigued that it appears like it's offline, and I don't know why it's off center. It doesn't make any sense. I didn't change its fundamental design. However, it looks like it's going off center. Okay, there we go. I'm going to build this forward structure just out of extensions here, and that'll work. So we're just going to keep extending forward. We are way off angle on this, and I don't know what the story is. Nope. It's kind of aggravating. Okay, we're going to look at the top. We're going to look again at where we are on this, right? This model. And we probably have enough verts now to do what we want to do. So we're going to go ahead and switch to vert mode, go into naked mode here, because of course otherwise it will do weird, funky things. And we're going to move these verts until they make the shape that I'm looking for. Right. Now, we've got some stress on the mesh, so I want to make sure that I bend the mesh a little bit more so that it's not so stressful across the wing here. So we're going, that's why we've got some good extra verts for this, and that's good. That way we're not stressing the mesh too much. We don't want to make this mesh get cranky on us. Nothing worse than a cranky mesh, right? That's what my grandmother used to tell me all the time. So, there we go. Now we look at this, and we've got much more of a rounded nose going for this now, which is good. That's exactly what we're after. I'm going to go ahead and scale this down on the blue, because we really want it to be at the same. We actually want that forward mesh to be even more crushed. We picked up an extrovert, didn't we? It's an extrovert. I think I'm funny. You all can thank me later for being funny. Okay, you are right there. All right. And we're going to take these two and crush them down too. So that they're... Ships don't need aerodynamics necessarily, but humans like symmetry and they like things that look good. So even though we don't need these guys to be perfect and aerodynamic, we don't need them to be aerodynamic at all, humans really want that. All right. Shift. And what we're doing is we're just bringing in this forward bay. And this becomes that forward pilot house that we see on a lot of my ships. It's for piloting that ship whenever we're in a dock of some sort, and it's specifically designed to pilot the ship into the dock for docking. So, now we're going to do the same thing we did with the destroyer. And I'm going to bring this nose down and give it a little bit more of a rakish appearance, because I like ships that look rakish. Let's not destroy stuff, though. Oh, man. It's going to be difficult to grab these two and these two only. Right, I like that. Or they're raised up like this. I like this look. Right? If we look at the hull now, this is where we are. Right? We're coming along well. We've got a huge fin for the gravity generators and things like that. I feel like that's probably bigger than its secondary hull, and I feel like that's not necessarily right, but we've got a couple of little things going on in the back part of the secondary hull that will need to be figured out. So here's the thing about capital ships on our world, so to speak. They have a beard. For lack of a better term, they have a beard. And so we're going to be working on that next. And that comes down like this. And then comes down like so. And a little bit more, and then more like that. And this is where we're going to be doing weird things. Beard things. The capital ships have these tall structures that lie forward of it. Got to put it in naked mode. There you go. The structures do not actually have to be lined up, and they can be aerodynamic just like everything else. There we go. And then they all lead to a point down here, which makes that. Science labs are here. These are where you want to be removed from the ship to some degree, from the heat sources of the ship, from any kind of major disturbances on the ship, the vibrations of the engines, the power supplies, things like that. So all of that stuff is in this beard, so to speak, which goes down from the forward hammerhead. And we did this on purpose. Oop, no, I did not want you doing that. Right? And this would be things like docking bays and things like that. This is a big ship. This is a monster. Even a light cruiser. These things are big. And a lot of the reasons that they're big is because they carry multiple life forms on board, and they have to have many different environments. And so we're going to take this forward section of the beard here and div it in. I'm worried horribly that this is going to unofficially be called the beard from now on all of these guys. And it's going to be very funny, and then people are going to be like, no, really, it's the beard. And everybody will be like, that's not the beard, that's stupid. Nobody would call it the beard, they're dumb. Okay. So we're going to move this down. All I got to do is write a story that takes place on one of these ships, and then they call it the beard, and that would be it. It's down in the beard. Right? He needs a shave. They're going to make this sleek, like so. I'm not getting this correct. There we go. No, that's where we are. Capital ships have these extenders down there and stuff like that, and so even though this is a CL and it's not actually like the heavy cruisers, it's still, the heavy cruiser is going to have some serious beardage going for it too. All the capital ships do. The destroyer doesn't, because it's not a capital ship. Okay, we've come all the way forward and all the way through the hammerhead. I feel pretty good about that. Let's go ahead and talk about the after section, going into the multi-purpose modules on the back and into the after section. So we're going to extend this one out because this needs to come back in, which will end this secondary hull. Right? So moving along here, let's put it in naked mode. I keep calling it naked mode because it really just requires me to move so much of this stuff. Okay, we'll move this in like so. And then move that in like so, and we want to make sure that we've got enough of this going on here that it works. And I want these to be level. So when we look at this from the outside, moving it around, I want that to look like it moved back in its appropriate way. You know what I mean? It moved back correctly. All right. And we look at this part here, and I feel like this guy needs to come down. Be less of a stress on the mesh, right? Because we're looking across that mesh there. I feel like it should be a little bit less stressy. We're only going to come out from these 4 squares to the next section, which is a wing, strangely enough. So we're going to switch to this and select this face and this face. And we're going to extend it to here. And then we're going to build this wing off of here. So we're going to extend that out like this. And it's not really a wing, it's just some kind of design function. I'm not even really sure what to call it. But it does have a tab to it, so I'm going to put this here so I can make the tab. Somebody keeps knocking. Knock, knock, knocking on my door. It's the raven. It's the raven. Now, we've done this before where I select this entire section like this in points. Let's do this again. This entire section in points and snag these two. And then we're going to go to the front of the ship. And we're going to extend it out way past like this because I need to get it lined up. And then we're going to get this tab done correctly, the way it's supposed to be, and get it all lined up before I move it back into place. I don't know what it is with mornings and me and having a sniffly nose, and I apologize for all the sniffling that I'm doing, because now, of course, I've got a much more advanced microphone, which is making my sniffling so much more high def. So we're going to do this and do this, coming in here like so. We're going to go across like this. Nevermore. Nevermore. Okay. So when we look at this, we've got kind of this going for it. Now let's go for the top view of this. And this wing is going backwards at quite a rakish angle. What a lovely rakish angle you've got going on there. And we'll extend this backward. Well, that's where it's going, is aft of this section. A sneeze here. Yes, I like that. That's a great quote. It took me a second. I was sitting there going, you don't have a son, you have a daughter. And I realized you were making a quote, and I don't know what my problem was. So it's all good. I'm good now. How are you? Okay. Now, moving this part, actually, I think all of this part goes back to about there. Looks good. We'll move this guy in and move this guy in. There we go. It's a Men in Tights quote, and I'm okay with that. That is totally fine. Okay, we're moving along now. We're in this after section here. We're going to go on ahead and select this and this guy because we have a small amount further we're going back before we hit the multi-purpose section. Yeah, you see, right? You're going to have to go watch it now. We're going to hit the multi-purpose section here. That multi-purpose section comes out of just the center square. So I'm going to actually go to the side here, and I'm going to bring it down. And I want to make sure that this square is ready to kind of accept the multi-purpose module, which will be here. Right, so we want to make sure it didn't take all of them, did it? You were supposed to take all of them. Why didn't it catch those last couple of guys there? Why didn't it take you? You should have gone up with it. There we go. We'll move that up. And we will slide this sideways. So I'm going to be taking a look at this hull piece. It looks bent and deformed. So I'm going to move it out like that. And move that up like that. And we still have an ingon here, and I'm not really happy with this deforming, because the more stress you have on the model, and the more difficult it is to do things like print it and stuff like that. I'm not 100% sure you want to print this ship. You may never want to print this ship, and that's totally fine. And nobody may want to print this ship. I like the Destroyer. It was a much more printable ship. But the light cruiser is its own little monster. And having a light cruiser out there so that we can have a light cruiser, so that it can go out there and be menacing and menace people. We're just menacing you. Is cool. So we're going to do that. Now, the important thing is that from the top here, we have to make sure that this adjustment piece, first of all, this guy needs to be moved over. There we go. This adjustment piece is as long as this wing tip, because it needs to be, the multi-purpose module sits here and goes out quite a ways. But we don't want this little wing tip, whatever it's called. I don't even know what we were doing with this, but it's a wing tip. And I drew this, so you weren't with me yesterday, but these ships I designed in, I don't know, 1999, 2000, 2001, somewhere in that era. So all of these ships, I don't remember what my design logic was behind it. They were designed for a card game that I will actually ultimately build. And they're a shared universe card game, so the card game is part of Bellatrix Rising, and Bellatrix Rising will be part of the card game. And so we're building... see, looking at the proportions of this, it looks like the hammerhead's much bigger than I want it to be. We're building to be part of the game and vice versa. We're just going to shrink this down a little. Because no matter what, the hammerhead's only slightly past that guy there. So we'll go on ahead and do that. Of course, look what I've done to myself. No, it's off of the detail portion of that there. So let's go up here and zoom all the way in, and there. I sneezed without getting you guys involved. Isn't that nice? Aren't I a nice guy? But since I sneezed, let's go on ahead and go on a quick break. Everybody should stand up. I'll be right back. And this way I can go get a tissue. And now we're back. Ooh, that may have been too... No, that was good. Okay. And so, while we're at it, let's stretch and pop everything and do all the things. And I already walked around, obviously, but we should always go and look out the window and just see what kind of day we got. It's like a partly cloudy day. I can see blue, but it's been murky all morning long. I haven't seen sunlight directly. But there are clear breaks in the clouds, so it's not bad. It's in the 30 degree or 20 degrees Celsius range out there. So there's that. That's kind of interesting. All right. Let's get our cables straightened out. Transmitter's good. Okay. Moon's haunted. Okay. Now I'm going to I've got to get this guy lined back up again, otherwise the hammerhead's not going to be straight no matter what I do. And I'm going to get very angry about this. You're making me very angry. Alright, I think we may be about as close as we can get while still having the widget on screen. So that's probably good enough. In freedom units, yeah. That's what they were saying. I like freedom units, that's good. Disturbing, but good. Okay. Moving along, I've got this juncture right here which I can work with. So really all I need to do is just move this guy out to there. That's where it's supposed to be. Looking at this now, I feel kind of like we're still like larger than we want it to be. I don't know. We'll have to see when the multi-purpose module is on. So now we've got this. We'll move to the back of the ship, which is right through here. And we'll select this square for the multi-purpose module. Multi-purpose module extends out to here. We're going to end up with this square being selected. Nope, this square being selected. There we go. And we're going to bring this out to here. And then I'm going to bring it out some more. And the multi-purpose modules on these ships are mostly designed to be the missile bays, or, you know, depending on what their jobs are, either the missile bays or something to that effect. So we're saying it's time to get a quick break, which means it's time for coffee. That's what it means. Now, there are a couple of things going on here. One is that I've got this collision going on now. So we'll go back into here, and I really want to pull this guy forward. No, that's not the one we want. Where is he? That one. We want him to go forward. And we want him to go forward. Because we want these guys to be distinctly different than the multi-purpose module, because this is part of the secondary hull here. And this is the multi-purpose module there. Now, going to the top of the ship, we're going to bring this part of the multi-purpose module back, like so. And then it's going to extend forward, and then we're going to get the hammerhead effect on its side too. In my original designs, I remember these being centrifuges, but we've got gravity control, and so it's kind of ridiculous to have centrifuges, so I kind of like the idea that these are just huge missile pods or massive weapons arrays, or if you're using your ships for scientific research, these are where you keep all your scientific research stuff on these large pods. Right? And I kind of like that, so we'll give it that shape. And then from the side, let's give it more of a rakish feel too. I mean, we don't want it to be obnoxious. It's already a huge, towering thing. Right? So this multi-purpose module sticks out like that. My kid is over there being a beatbox. Okay, so I pulled this out so that it can be brought into this multi-purpose, so I can correct its shape and stuff like that as much as possible. I want to add to this section here by extruding a little forward on this multi-purpose module piece. Scale it down all units there. There we go. Okay. Now, in the original design, these things stuck out a lot further on this. I'm not sure I want to do that with a multi-purpose model per se. I do see, I don't know, it kind of does look cool if we had this going forward like so. Take a look at the top because it's going wonked. Like that. It does look kind of cool to have that in front of this. And if I scaled it down a little, there we go. Bring it in line like so. And then let's go ahead and fix some of these so that they are in line with everything here. There, let's take a look at that and see what we get. Wow. Well, there's that. Did not expect that to happen. It's alright, that just needs to go straight down until it lines up. There we go. So, we will do this. Is that people calling me? Is my wife saying something? She says things a lot. Actually, nothing really bad there. There. I'll do that. I feel like I could probably... Yes, the school called. No, actually, it's not the school. I have a dentist appointment on Monday. Which reminds me, I have a dentist appointment on Monday, so the show will be short while I go get my mouth drilled on, which not fun ever. I love root canals, said no one ever. It wouldn't make me so mad, except it's a repair. I hate those. It's like, why do I have to spend more money and do this again? Grump, grump, grump. Repair, repair, repair. It's actually totally understandable. Just makes me mad. So. All right. There we go. Gives it just a little bit of an edge to it so that it comes up correctly like that. These modules, by the way, are replaceable. It's okay. You typically miss the Monday. Yeah, it's true. These modules are completely replaceable. And so they detach right here at this joist, and they can be replaced with other modules that they need, whatever needs to be done for the mission specialty modules. And that's what we've got. Bring this module down though. So we'll go up here to the front of this module where I feel like we could be a little more rakish about it. Bring that back. There, make it look a little cooler. And now we have a wild vertices. There we go. Bring that back in line. All is good. I don't know if I can go this way. I might be able to go this way. Oops. There we go. We'll go this way. Come in like so. Move like that. That's good. There we go. So I'm just going to make this more of a straight front to it. So it sort of has this, it goes to a straight piece on the front, even though it's at a curve. Can't be that straight. It's got to be in the curve. There we go. In the curve. And then give that a little bit of a rakish design. Okay. Now, looking at this as a whole with the actual... There we go. Not bad at all. It's actually coming along nicely. That looks much more like what I expect it to look like. And now we're going to bring the center hull up because it never looks quite right, just lying there flat like that. So I kind of want to bring these guys up like that. And that's much more what I feel like these ships look like. They've got that bump on the back because that's up here is where they're going to put that platform for that multi-purpose, or for not the multi-purpose, but for the hard point, which goes along on the back there. There's this hard point back here. Bork. And bork. Which we can allow for smaller ships to dock there. In this case, you can probably park like 2 of our little Corvettes on it. There's always something. So, there we go. We've gone aft to this section here. Now, a light cruiser has a pack of 4 engines on the back, 4 power plants. So we're going to be putting those in. But first, I want to put the back end of this. Now this is like a work deck out the back, but it needs to be done correctly, which means we got to go do this because it's going to be wonked. I like how everything sort of just wanders off in random directions here. Nope, it's got to be in naked mode. Work. There we go. There. Actually, give it a little bit of a... There. This gives it the same shape that we see. Yep. The Kittiwake can sit up onto these docking ports on the top. That is exactly what happens. The small ships, like, they can put a Corvette back there on that spine, and they can put things like that on that spine. So we're now moving after to the section here. I kind of want to make this guy move back just a smidge, right? Like, can I get him to go back just a little bit? Give this more of a wing feel. There is absolutely no logic to some of that. I mean, there's nothing, there's no real logic to that. It just is what it is. But, so, yep, and there we go. And we'll move back now to the after section. And we'll talk about the engines. So, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to hit select, and I'm going to bring this back one step, like this. And we're going to go to the top view on this, and we're going to go into naked mode here. And we're going to grab just these and move them in. We're going to give this a real nice bow to the back, so that it makes sort of a logical sense. No, but there's a wonderful Sheldon comic by Dave Collette, which cracks me up every time, because he's got an extremely valid point as to why we do everything up and down, and that's really mostly because we humans have a real hard time dealing with things that are not that way. And as soon as you have the ships doing this or doing this, it all looks like they're out of control and screwed up. So there's that. And he's absolutely spot on about that. So when I do comics now, I'm putting them all level for only one reason, and that's for my reader. Because in the end, it doesn't matter. They're not going to care. So, all right. So now we're to the after section of the ship, right here. And I really do kind of feel like you need to move in too, like so. There we go, much better. That's better. So, we haven't even talked about the gravity sail or the gravity fin. So, that comes in a bit. We're going to have to make sure we have a spot for the gravity fin. Those gravity fins, that's this spot right here. The gravity fin is a device which allows these ships to see other ships in the gravity wake. So when a ship jumps into local space, it disrupts the gravity. And the gravity moves in a way that moves at a different speed than the speed of light. We can see the gravity pull before we can see the light. So it's better for these ships to have a sensor that allows them to see the gravity wake as it moves across space. I've got to give it props, though. This is starting to look like a pretty mean ship. I mean, she's looking pretty cool in her own way. The light cruisers were not pretty, They weren't designed to be pretty, but they can be pretty kick butt. I feel like these two should be down just a little too. Because that's a... There we go. That just gives us a point here. So this is a technology. These gravity sails or gravity fins, they're not, I gotta stop calling them sails because they're not sails. There's sails when these ships go into their hyperspace. And then there's the fin, which is that tall fin that just detects the gravity. And that's its entire job. That huge fin has nothing in it. So they'll use the huge fin, of course, as an identifier in the way that we do. So, okay, let's move to the after section of the ship. We're going to be right here. Bork. And this is where I'm going to build a structure inside the structure. And this gets a little bit confusing. But I'm looking at the structure that's on the original drawing. Yep, that's exactly what it is. It's a sensor of some sort. That fin sits there and just detects gravity pulling at it and any direction and anywhere, and can give you a pinpoint on where that is. But it means that my ships have these huge fins down the bottom. Now, the Kittiwake has to be able to land in the atmosphere, so it has two gravity sensors of small size, and that's its two tails that are in either side of the ship. It's not as effective, and it doesn't work as well as these larger capital ships. So the Kittiwake generally will just hang out with a large capital ship like this, and that'll work just fine. It doesn't need to worry about it too terrible much. But it does mean that... oh, you know what we could do? We could do this in an H pattern on the back. That would be cool. I'm sorry, I just totally went off into a different land. But I have a problem with the design of these. There's 4 power plants back here. And the 4 power plants are here. They've got like these control struts, and it's in, I don't know where I was going with this. I don't like that. So I'm going to do it in an H pattern. That's what I think I'm going to do. So we're going to do the connector, then the primary strut, extend this strut out to here, and go this way. And then we'll come up here on top, and we'll go up, right? And then on the bottom, same thing, right? We'll go down. And that will be our pattern for the engines. And I can make them more for Raptor engines. That's totally what they are, is they're Raptor engines. Okay, we'll go to the top of the ship. And we'll move down here. These are supports for the engines. So we can sweep it back a little, but these engines are going to come out quite a bit. That's a light cruiser. The capital ships have larger engines, of course, naturally. Let's go to the top again, and we'll go into points here, and we're going to go like this because they don't need to be that thick. Right, and then we're going to look at these here, and I actually kind of want to do these in a way that has them standing out and off the ship's hull. So we're going to do this, which will sweep them out. It'll give it more of an X-wing effect, and I know that, but that's okay. I mean, no new ideas in the world, right? So then I can bring it back to the hull of the ship a little bit more, and that should work. And that'll give us the 2 engine pods that we need out here. And so, as we had seen with our destroyer, we can't switch to the destroyer. It's gone. Okay. I was hoping I could keep the destroyer up and running so I wouldn't have to rebuild the engine from scratch, but hey, I rarely get what I'm looking for in these things, so we're going to put, and you know what, again, I like that, just a little bit of a rakish to that strut. Give it a little bit of style there. Want a little bit of style, just a little bit. And we'll go here and go forward. There. So, engines on this guy. Let's start talking about engines. The engines are going to come off the top here, and they're going to... Isn't it interesting? It's a lot lighter over here than it is over there. I wonder if that's a monitor issue. Maybe it's a monitor issue. It looks very dark over here. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to raise this guy up. There we go. So, we're going to bring this back. Okay, so those engines are big. It is, like I said, a capital ship. And we're going to do this, and nope, and this, and nope, not you, not you, not you. We want just you, and you. Okay. This is not one of those things you want to get involved in. One of these where you're stuck. So, okay. Give that a little bit of that sort of rakish effect. And then we're going to take these guys and move them inside. Right? When we look at that, it's going to look like that. Now, we go. I'm just trying to get this to match that effect. Because the next engine underneath it is going to be reversed. So it's going to be flipped and going the other direction. These engines are big, monstrous. I mean, these are monster engines. The Kittiwake can park inside one of these engines. So when we talk about light cruiser engines, the Kittiwake can park inside this guy and be just fine. So what I'm going to do is take the outside sections here, this and this, and we're going to hit delete, and we're just going to take the faces out, and then we're going to put in, there's a long box thing on one side. They're so big they could be their own ship. Yeah, well, the idea here is that in case you ever needed to, and they do from time to time need to, you need to add let's add a cube. I'll pull him back. Oh, yep, back here. They need to move the ships in real space, not using the gravity drive. And they have to do that because, you know, you have to get from point A to point B, but you can't just big gravity well in front of all of those Corvettes because they'll just get sucked in and destroyed. So, you know, you've got a bunch of Corvettes out there and you've got your ship out there. And so, you know, everybody just goes in normal space drive and pushes and stuff like that. So there's normal space engines for this. And that's what this is. Or they're normal space engines. Okay, we're going to go over here. We have to go back into naked mode. I'm not making as many errors as I did yesterday, but I am still making errors. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of funny. Okay, now moving over here. This is the, I don't know, interweeble or boodly boppy or something. I'm sure it's critical. Move this up here. We'll put this into the engine. Yeah, my minion needed something as well, so I totally get that. Okay. These are the intercooler things. I don't know. I'm sure they're critical to the ship's operation. But I did put them on the side of the destroyer, and I see them here on my original design, so I'm going to put them in here. And it's actually not hard to put these in if you can snag all the right points. It's a little harder if you can't snag the points, but I can snag these points. So we'll put that in like this, and we'll put in a face. And then we'll do this. And this, and this, and this, and put in a face. Right. We'll just make sure that that's sealed up, right? We can see in there that it's sealed good. I'll take you. Oh no. Right, we'll come along here. And all we're doing is building the faces for this. A long time ago, a friend of mine had this really cool game he was working on. He was a wonderful programmer. He still is a wonderful programmer. He just doesn't work on games. But he had built a game where it was 3D, back in the days when 3D was still very new, and he needed us to build spaceships, so I built spaceships, and I was all excited. And this is the way we built the spaceships, was by putting in faces. And it's funny that I still remember the F key was put in a face. And so you'd snag 3, you click 3 vertices and then hit F, and then click 3 vertices and then hit F, and then click 3 vertices and then hit F. And that's how we built the ships. Completely and totally, I mean, it was, you went to the top view and you put all your vertices in, and then moved to the side view and then moved your vertices to the right level. And then you had to build your frame from scratch by building vertices. And I mean, I'll never forget that kind of thing, because that was so much fun. It really was. It was a wonderful experience. And it's one of those, now as far along here, we'll never have that kind of experience again. There's no need for it. The technology has moved on quite well, and we don't really need to do that anymore, but it's still okay. So these guys are large blocks of engine. There we go. And then I do want to feel like there's some kind of rakish feel to the front of the engine. So let's go on ahead and bring this back like that. That gives that engine more of a feel like it's doing something. I feel like it's going the wrong direction though on the front there. So let's go on ahead and do this. I don't want this. I think it should be the other direction. It is an engine of some sort. It needs to look engine-y. There we go. And that works. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take this engine nacelle from the side. We're going to select it like that, and then we're going to hit, is it Control D that duplicates it? Nope. It's Shift D that duplicates it. There we go. And this guy will live under here. And I like the idea of these guys being in the same alignment, so not rotated. I thought about doing rotated, but then I prefer this alignment better. So we're going to do that. We need to patch the hole that just got opened up under here. on the bottom of this nacelle, but we'll get it. Okay. And I feel like this nacelle is not actually attached here, but I'm not sure if that's going to be an issue. I really would like to... I don't need to attach it. It's just two boxes that are... However, I know how this works when we go to mapping, and I'm going to end up having to map the underside. I don't want to map the underside of this, so... You can, but that makes an N-gon, and those N-gons get weird when they're printed. So I'm trying very hard to do only triangles, because that gives me a much more defined structure around it. If we hit triangles, then I know exactly where my mesh is going. So yeah, I absolutely could do more than 3 vertices to fill a hole, but I'm not going to if I can avoid it. Makes it markedly easier for me, because these are N-gons right here. They're 4. And those, if I deform them, like if I take a square and I deform it like this and move it so that this point's here and this point's here, then the shape in here requires the computer to do a whole bunch of different levels to get across that, to get through that shape. And what'll happen is on printing, it'll just say, screw it. And it'll make a fold and a crease where you don't want it to crease. So I really don't want it to do that. So that makes some sense. Okay. I think I like the idea of this being an X-Wing better, as far as engines go. From the top, it's going to look like this ship doesn't have 4 engines. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take this bottom engine and its entire array and screw it up, because we're not in naked mode. We're going to take this entire engine and its entire array, and I'm going to move it in like this. And you're wondering, why would you do that? Really, it's an aesthetic thing. I want, when you're looking from the top of the ship, to see that there are 2 engines here. There's a top engine, there's a bottom engine. All it really does is make it so that whenever I do this guy as a card for my game, we look at his silhouette and it makes logical sense. Now let's take this guy and just look at our original, right? The asymmetrical pieces aren't in yet, and that's okay. Like this sensor pod on the right, or on the left side of the hammerhead, I'll add that, but I'm not going to add it just yet. But I'm now looking at this to make sure that this silhouette matches roughly my silhouette for this ship. And it does. It looks pretty close. So that's good. We've got this entire thing kind of working for us now. So there are a few things that I want to do. This guy needs to be moved out, right? Because it needs to stick out a little bit more, and this guy needs to be a little bit further behind. So I had switched to points. And do this and just pull it back a little. And get it away from this section here. Okay. Because that square piece sticks out quite a bit on this original drawing, and now it's going to stick out a little bit more. Right? This now makes for a rather dramatic vessel. Okay, here's what we're going to do now. We're going to duplicate it So what we need to do for that is this. The first thing we need to do is take out its inner. Okay, we're going to take this and we're going to take the faces out. Now, you can't take the edges out without ripping into the hull of the ship. So I have to go back in here and select edges and then just take this guy and hit him and say edges, right? And it's a little cumbersome, but it works. But part of the reason we're and see, some of the edges went away naturally. And it looks like moving down the ship, looks like almost all of the edges that I wanted to go away went away. So there's no edges now in here. Okay, good. That's interesting. There's actually a second level through here, which we need to get rid of. Faces. Okay. There. I think I pulled all the pieces out of the beard there. So we want a hollow shell at this point in time because we're about to do magic. So we're going to go into object mode. Okay. And then we're going to take our cube here and we're going to add a transform to it. We're going to add a, I can't think of the name. I can think of it in a second. Modifier. We're going to add a modifier to it. So, okay, we got the cube here, which actually we'll call light cruiser, right? Ooh, look at that. It's like inverted. Light cruiser, right? I'm going to name that. And we're going to go to the top here, select U, top down, zoom out, and what we're going to do is we're going to put a modifier on it. Once I remember how I'm supposed to do that. That's not the way to do it. Right? Maybe it is. We need a modifier. I can't remember which one of these is a modifier. So, not transform. Maybe it's select it itself. Am I missing it? Caps lock. Yep, I know. You can add a monkey. Oh, it's because we're not in object mode again. Okay. Mirror. Is this not a modifier? This isn't a modifier. We want the modifier. Because if you add the mirror that's here, that's a different function. It seems like every time I try this, it's a different thing. Okay, here we go. Let's try this. Okay, we'll do Blender add modifier. Clicking the wrench icon opens the modifiers tab. That's why. It's because I'm not on the wrench icon. That's you. There he goes. Options. Okay. Where you can add modifiers. When you click the add modifier button, anybody see the add modifier button? I don't see the add modifier button. I don't remember how we did this before. It seems like I did this and it was just really easy, and now it's really difficult. And I'm having a problem with this. I'm going to spend 20 minutes. Oh, this wrench. Add modifier. Okay, add modifier. Mirror. Right? This is really what we want, because we want to make sure that it's merged and the mirror object has got the vertex groups are selected so that there's no issue with it. Right? Boy, it's kind of like a tick boy here. Okay. We're going to click and go to apply like that. And now what we have is a full ship, right? I think it's wider than I want it to be, which is fine. We'll just go into edit mode, which makes sense. I mean, I can't be perfect right off the bat on this, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that, because that's much closer to what I feel like that ship looks like. It's a light cruiser. The heavy cruisers are the ones that are really big, right? So there we go. There's our light cruiser. Yeah. So now we have one more thing we need to do. And that's a mess. I didn't want that to be like that. We have one more thing to do, and that is the sail, or the gravity engine, or whatever we were, gravity sensor. So let's go into edit mode, and we're going to move to under here. We're going to select this guy and this guy, and I'm going to say, no, we're in edit mode. We're going to remove those faces. There we go. Go into point mode, and we're going. I mean, can I just do this? I can. And we'll just come down one set of faces. Right? And then this and this. And we say extrude, and this becomes just the single fin unit that we know and love. We'll extrude it down more. There's a couple of levels to these. Extrude down even more. And that's the bottom of that fin. All right. Going onto these faces, we'll extrude out like that. And then we'll go to the left side here. We'll do these pins here. We gotta go into naked mode though. Otherwise you won't get both sides. All right. And we go up like this. And now we have the gravity fin. And then we'll rescale them. There, like so. And now we have its gravity fin. All right. I feel kind of like I want to add to the back of the gravity fin. It doesn't look right. So we'll do that. Click here. And here. And extrude. Like that. And we'll move this up. We'll go over here. And go into naked mode. We can do all this moving and stuff. Where do I want it? There? Maybe. Move all of you back on this point here. You think so? You think it's too big, huh? It has to be further down than the beard, though. So we're going to make sure that... But I can make it thinner. I wonder if I can... There we go. I'm going to rotate it a little, too, and make it look more like that. Then I can take this, which should be level, and this, which should be level. Now let's take a look at it and see what we've got. There. That's not bad at all. And then we've got a gravity fin, and we've got this light cruiser, which doesn't look bad. As far as light cruisers go, she's not so bad. Kind of love this hammerhead with the beard now. I've decided that's my favorite aspect of these ships now is the beard. So wait until we get to the heavy cruiser tomorrow. We're just going to keep going up the line, and then as we continue on, there will be another couple of ships. Yep. Right now, the reason it's not on top is that traditionally other ships will land on the top. It's, again, a matter of it doesn't really matter. Honestly, the Borg have the best ship design ever. It's a square, because you can use the maximum amount of energy and space inside there. So, that's the way that works. So, anyway, there we go. We have a light cruiser now. This is the CL, the light cruiser of my Starship World. It's got 4 engines in the back. The multi-purpose modules in the center for either side can work all kinds of different projects. It has a secondary hull where everybody lives. The front up here is pretty much, well, that and the bridge. The bridge is right here in the dead center of it. Yep, the visitor behind me just got told that he's not supposed to be behind me. Because he's not. He's not supposed to be on there. Okay. So there we go. And that, my friends, is a light cruiser. She actually looks kind of cooler now than I feel like this drawing originally portrayed her. I'm liking this version better. It's got a little bit more curve to the multi-purpose modules on either side. I like the engine pod better. It looks better. And we've got kind of more variable things here going on. Do feel like this is not, this is thinner than this, but I think that works. I still feel like maybe this is better, or maybe I should thin it out. But if I do, I'm going to have to we only have a couple minutes. Let's see if we can't fix that. Let's fix this beak here on the front. Go into here. We'll select you guys and you guys, and then take the scale and just go this way. Right? A little bit better. You and you. There. The small changes sometimes can mean a lot to the design of a ship. But looking at this ship like this now, that just looks imposing. That big, with a beard, where, there's just going to be a whole bunch of windows through here with, like all the windows along the side there and all that stuff. Think it'd be cool because you could like have the kittiwake sitting right under here, just kind of like on the underside of this fin on the side of the gravity control fins, gravity projector fins. That's what those really are. Now, here's an example of what I was talking about earlier. This Ingon is 4, but you can see that it's bent under and around. So to make this mesh work, your printer's going to have a field day. Actually, this is enough of a problem that I'm going to actually do this and then move it up. Oh my goodness, there's more than one. So, take this and that. Nope. Just you. And you. There. That'll relax the mesh a little. Right through there. Since we did that over here, we probably ought to take this and do the same thing. Just relax the mesh. And then I can take the points of this and bring them down and I'll line it up better. There. That'll work. And it looks a little bit better going into that forward. This is the pilot house up here where they can steer the ship if they really need to manually. But in the meantime, there we go. That's a light cruiser. Which looks kind of cool. The heavy cruisers tomorrow. You're going to love it. Not 4 engines. 6 engines behind that. So we're going to have these 4 in the X pattern, and then we're going to have 2 struts. Oh, that'll be fun. And we'll be doing that one tomorrow. So, yeah, I'm liking her. She's kind of brute force ship, but she works. It works. It works just fine. Move up to a light cruiser from the destroyer classes. There's a frigate out there too, and I don't know what happened to my frigate drawings. I don't see the frigate over here. I know that there's a mid-class in my destroyer and the light cruiser, which I'm going to put in there. Because frigates are great for mines and missiles and things like that. That'd be very useful, very specialized. I feel like the frigates are a very specialized class of ships. So, word from the heavy cruiser here, or the light cruiser to the heavy cruiser tomorrow. We'll finish the heavy cruiser and then we'll move on to the battleship, which is a super large ship. And then we'll have to go back in and fill in other things. We need launches and we need work bees and things like that. So we've got some other work we're going to be doing here on this. But we'll be doing that tomorrow. We have a lot of these little assets that need to be done for the comic so that the comic can just have them if I ever need them. I pull up one of these ships. But I also need it for my card game that I'm making. So there's that. Carriers are part of a multi-purpose function. So if you want to make like this could be a light carrier. You pull off those two multi-purpose modules on the other side and then put carrier modules on the side. So they're still the same thing. They look exactly the same. They just have launch and landing bays on them. And so that's how they work. So that's pretty much what we'll do. They're usually a heavy cruiser, which makes sense because the carrier is a variant of a cruiser. When you look at its letter designation, if you will, you have cruiser light, which is this guy, cruiser armored, which is a heavy cruiser, and then cruiser variable or variant, which is a carrier. So they're all cruisers of some sort. But yeah, that's typically what happens. So, but that's the other thing is we have to build is a fighter. So we'll be doing fighters somewhere along the line because one of the main characters of the comic is a fighter pilot and he's with a fighter group. So we'll have to get into that somewhere along the line. So we'll be doing that one next. There's a fighter in there. In the meantime, thank you for hanging out with me. I appreciate that, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. And remember to keep your eyes on the stars, and I'll see you tomorrow.